Welcome back to Balancing Acts. We're talking with Dr. Elena Rivers, the CEO and founder of Amera Solutions and a very successful business owner. Dr. Elena, we've had such a great conversation.
I know. I love
and you know, in our last segment together, I want to wrap up things for business owners for how they go. You have grown from a startup to 1 million, to 3 million, to 5 million, to 10 million. Tremendous success. And I know really hard work. You also do a tremendous amount of community service, of helping others. You are, and actually we share a connection to the Enterprising Women Foundation, which helps high school girls be interested in entrepreneurship, in STEM activities, but it is entrepreneurship because you and I are both entrepreneurs. So before we talk about building partnerships and growth, tell us about the Enterprising Women Foundation. Why was that important to do for high school girls?
Well, thank you for the question because that's one of my passions that have nothing to do with the business, but in a sense, it kind of does.
Yeah.
The word go-giver is the spirit of entrepreneurship growth. And I truly believe in that. So to those who are making the money, like us, we also give the money. We create jobs. We help with innovation. We give back through scholarships. That's what you want to do. And you have to take the time to do that because you've learned so much that it's time to also pass it down to the next generation because that's what you're supposed to do. So the Enterprising Women happened because I got an award. I was an award winner in 2022. And when I came back to Houston, I got my award and I was just so happy with it. And then the president reached out to me and said, "You're in Houston. We're looking for people that can lead the team of STEM in high schools." And I said, absolutely. I didn't think twice. Why? Because I dropped out of high school when I was 16 years old and I got a GED. And had a program like this walked into through those doors, I probably would have had it. Well, I still probably would have become an entrepreneur successful. I'm very lucky, right? But I think I would have not taken this long because I'm almost 50, to get to my doctoral degree. I could have done it probably in my 30s. But I'm here, right? Which is a rare case. But these girls that are there, they need to see the women that look like us, Linda. They need to hear our stories. Yes. And so to me is, what is one day out of the year for me to walk in there with 18 more mentors that look like me? And let these young girls in high school know that, listen, you can't be it if you don't see it. And here we are. And when, you know, they start crying because we tell them, you know, this is your education is your weapon. It's your power for the future. It's the only thing nobody can take away from you. It's your education. Yeah. You can get married, you can have a business, you can have multiple businesses, go down, up, finances, but your education dies with you and nobody can take it away from you. And so what we're trying to promote is there's very little, demographic shows very little girls in STEM, right? A lot of them. And math is part of entrepreneurship. Math is the numbers, right? So we tell them even to become an entrepreneur, not just in aerospace if you want to, or in engineering, but math, STEM and math is also numbers. And you can be going to engineering with the numbers, or you can be an entrepreneur and know your numbers. And so at the end of the program, we give scholarships and we fly these girls, which some of them have never left the area, even the 20-mile radius, and they go with their parent if they win the scholarship to our national conference where they see multiplier women like us, and the idea is to impact their lives and to let them go and think of the future in a whole different way. Yes. And for me, that is very important. I also have a nonprofit called Rivers for Health Foundation, 501c3. What we try to do with those funds is we try to give them back through medical health conferences, or maybe healthcare events, giving back, you know, shots for before the kids go back to school, maybe backpacks, maybe school supplies. It's important to give back. So I am a philanthropist by heart. I really am. I think on my next chapter, after this chapter, I will be a philanthropist and I will continue to advocate and empower women of all ages. That is really my ministry in my heart.
I think we're so fortunate that you feel that way. And I also chaired the forum in New York City.
Well, there you go.
For high school girls. And I think what I also loved about the program was, you know, oftentimes some girls don't have any entrepreneurs in their family. They have no experience. So this is an option besides going into a corporation, working always working for someone else. Yeah. But what is it like to be an entrepreneur? And so you're giving them a flavor of not only STEM, but STEM through entrepreneurship.
Exactly.
And it's really, really it's a unique opportunity, and I hope anyone listening who has high school girls will think about it and looking in the Houston area or the New York City area, because these programs are all over the country.
They are.
And let me think next, I want to talk about growth strategies. One strategy you've used to grow your business is collaboration and partnerships, joint ventures, some people would call them. When did you first consider that strategy, and what advice might you give to others?
I first started where I don't want to share my information with anyone. Or when someone would come to me and say, hey, somebody else is also in the space of transportation and you guys need to talk. And I used to look at it like, well, why would you put me in front of a competitor, right? That's a sign of weakness. That's a sign of weakness, because the collaboration is powerful. And being able to at least, after COVID, now we can be on a Zoom talking to someone in New York, right? From Houston. Right. Or nowadays, we're flying out to where we just came from, San Diego. So now the doors are open for you to move around anywhere you want to, flying or on Zoom. So the power of collaboration is amazing, because that's where the magic happens. So when you're able to collaborate with someone, and not necessarily partnership, you don't have to, because at first I was confused and I was like, well, let me start raising money to make more money for the company, to raise capital and then grow, especially with technology. We have an app. And I said, well, we need to raise money to, for the app, which is $250,000. And I don't want to use our money, let's do this. But then I realized that I had to do my homework. There's so many programs out there, venture capitalists, right? There's private equity, and then there's the institution, the regular institution banking, and you got to know what they all do. Yes. And so I learned that, do I want to give private equity? They just want to grab my business, like flipping houses. They just want to flip it, make their money, let's go. And then the venture capitalist, to raise money, is you're taking equity from me. Yes. Everybody thinks that's the only route they have to get more money, and that's not true. I can tell you proudly that I'm 100% owner, and I don't own anybody. And so what I had to do was I invested some of my business money back into here, and I just started being very strategic with my growth and networking. Just by going around and meeting other women and saying, so what do you do? Who do you know? Be humble. Be humble. Be humble. And that's the good thing about WPO. Yes. When you have the peer group every month, you're humble enough to say, listen, I don't know a CPA. Do you know one that's affordable? It's okay to be vulnerable, because you don't know who that person is, and that CPA and you might just click so well that she's going to say, I'm part of this organization, you need to come. Or you know what, I have a client that fits what you do and I need to put you guys together. Yes. And so that is called collaboration, and there's magic in that. So not necessarily do you have to look at collaboration as a competition or as, well, then I have to give away my equity, because you don't. Right.
Exactly. And we're talking about the Women Presidents Organization, WPO, which we are both members of, and it's a support group. It's almost like an advisory board where, right, you can share challenges in a safe environment, learn from the experience of others. There's so many benefits to being a member of that. And I think people should often look for some kind of a support group like that, because there's nothing that one will challenge your ideas, as well as share, have your back when things go wrong, and support you with new ideas and advice.
Exactly. And here's the deal. You don't have to be alone. Right. You don't have to feel alone. Right? One thing about women is that when we're little, we're always playing with each other. We're fixing each other's hair. We're supporting each other. Come eat with me, right? Now we're grown and we do the same thing. Come eat with me, or come, let's have lunch, right? Yes, or let's have a glass of wine. Now we changed the Barbie dolls for a glass of wine. Yeah. But the idea is still there. WPO through Camille's, because I came in when Camille Burns, the CEO, is the CEO. When I came in, I looked at her and I loved her ideas. Yes. Right? And so I looked at her, I love the ideas. The conferences bring the best speakers around the world, whether they're male or female, and you're in a group full of women who are cheering for you, right? Yes. They're cheering for you, they're supporting you, and they're also holding your hand while you're not just going through struggles in your business, but in your personal life.
Exactly.
We all need that.
It's a wonderful organization. How can people find more about you, get in touch with you? Where should we go, and what's new that you'd want to share with us?
Sure. Thank you for that opportunity. There is 2 websites. myamera.com is the business website to learn more if you need services in transportation or our areas. And then I have a personal one, lucelena.com. I was going to say it in Spanish, lucelenarivers.com, my full name, lucelenarivers.com. And that's a personal website. That's my passion one. That's where I get speaking engagements and I go and I speak to other women or entrepreneurs or young women. That is my passion. I am writing a book. My goal is in the future is to be able to be a motivational speaker. I love cheering for people just because it made a difference in my life. And I want to do it both in English and in Spanish. And so that's where you will find me. You will find me on lucelenarivers.com, or you can also find me on Instagram under Elena Rivers, or you could just, Amera has a history on the company of myamera.com, has a history, and it takes you directly to me.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I learned so much from speaking with Dr. Rivers today. And I hope that what you got out of this is that we don't have to be alone. You can build a business, get an education in running a business, do your research, and find the right support groups or peer advisory groups that will help you get there. Come back next week for another episode of Balancing Acts, and we'll have another great guest for you.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.